there guys, Portal Master 9351 here, and in this video I am going to be reading off to you the first half of the Skylanders Imaginators Sensei Backstories. So I'm just going to start with the first 15 or so right here. So we're going to basically be talking about Airstrike through Golden Queen, and in the next video I will do, I'll basically do all the other ones, including the guest stars. The guest stars are not actually on this app, so they will, I'll have to go get them from an external source, but anyways, let's go ahead and start with Airstrike. Now, I've got it up on the screen for you guys to see, and yeah, I'm just gonna read it off. So, Airstrike. Before he began training brawlers, Airstrike trained birds, especially the rare blue zebra falcons. They were one of Skyland's most endangered species, but Airstrike taught them how to defend themselves from predators and not fly into windows. Birds would come from all over Skylands to learn his proven techniques, but despite their new defensive skills, the blue zebra falcons continued to be hunted by a band of evil trolls who liked to use their eggs in blue bacon omelets. So it was time for Airstrike to strike back. He journeyed to the peak of the Zephyr Mountain and single-handedly took down the trolls, rescuing the stolen eggs. After returning them to their mother, one of the eggs hatched, revealing a very energetic falcon that would not leave his side. Airstrike named him Birdie, and together they now use their skills to train Skylanders, despite Master Eon's crippling fear of falcons. Next up, we've got Ambush. So there were many mysterious things in the mystical bamboo forest, but none more so than Ambush. The forest was considered to be one of Skyland's greatest natural wonders, and no outsider, good or bad, was ever permitted to trespass, but that didn't stop Chaos's mother. After deciding that the ancient trees would make an exquisite display in her royal courtyard, she commanded her army of chainsaw-wielding trolls to chop down the entire forest. This angered Ambush, the mystical tree knight, who saw the atrocity and swore revenge. Wielding his mythic sword, he fought off the trolls and forced Chaos's mother into hiding. Sorry about that notification. When Master Eon heard the story, he knew that the mysterious Swordmaster would make the ideal Sensei and promised to go green himself if Ambush would join the Skylander team. Ambush now trains other knights, and those who are not environmentally conscious cower in fear. So next up we have AURORA. AURORA is the niece of Master Eon. For years she tried to keep her identity a secret so she would remain safe from harm, but as she grew older, AURORA wanted nothing more than to become a Skylander, but Eon would not permit it. So without telling him, she wore a disguise and studied swordplay and combat arts under the name Boss Blades McSlashinators. Soon everyone was talking about this new mysterious hero and her amazing abilities. Even Master Eon was notably impressed, but when he learned that the skilled fighter was none other than his own niece, he once again refused her entry into the Skylanders team. However, before she could protest, Eon smiled and told her it was because he was immediately promoting her to the Sensei program, where she would train the swashbuckler class under her true name and identity, although he did later admit that Boss Blades McSlashinators sounded pretty cool. Next we have Bad JUJU. Just like her name suggests, Bad JUJU has always been bad. From her humble beginnings as a witch doctor, where she put curses on her patients instead of curing them, to being the Golden Queen's right-hand sorcerer, she had spent her entire life as a villain. Being captured by the Skylanders didn't do much to change her attitude either. At least that was the case up until the day she conjured up more than she bargained for, a son named JUJU Jr. That was when she finally decided it was time to change her lifestyle. She didn't want to raise JUJU Jr. inside a prison thinking that his magical mother was a criminal, so she asked Master Eon to give her a chance to be a hero instead. As luck would have it, Eon was looking for a swashbuckler sensei who could help train Imaginators, not the value of being, who could help train Skylanders Imaginators the value of being good. Not bad for Bad JUJU. Next up, Barbella. Barbella was the best fitness trainer in all of Skylands. Not only did she possess otherworldly strength, she was also a firm believer that a healthy diet and exercise led to true happiness. With such a positive message to spread, Barbella decided to open her own fitness center called Flex-A-Lot, where she hoped to instill good eating and workout habits with all of her patrons. But one day, the gelatinous villain known as the Gulper destroyed her gym, and it took all of Barbella's strength to keep it from collapsing while everyone fled to safety. It was then that Barbella realized that bad guys were more hazardous to your health than anything else, so she began to train in the ways of the Sentinel, where she quickly became one of the greatest masters in the world. Next up we have Blastertron. Blastertron isn't just state-of-the-art technology. He literally is from the future. When the Skylanders traveled forward in time to stop Wolfgang, they ended up bringing back the renegade robot with hopes that they could learn from his advanced circuitry. Eon immediately noticed that he had an actual good and evil switch that had been set to evil. After flipping it to good, Blastertron was completely transformed. Besides going from bad robot to good robot, he ditched his blaster gun in exchange for a laser sword. No one exactly knows why, but as long as he was helping out the cause of justice, the Skylanders were happy. As a bonus, Master Eon noticed that his skill with his blade was second to none, and so he made Blastertron a sensei for the Knight class. where he now gives 110% to training his students, which is technically possible because in the future we figure out how to give more than 100%. Next up we have Boom Bloom. Boom Bloom was created in the laboratory of a mad scientist. After using his mutation goo to change dead wood into evil creatures, Dr. KRANKCASE began experimenting with live plants, but it had a much different effect. Instead of becoming subservient villains, the mutated plants instantly rebelled against their creator and tried to destroy his goo factory. Dr. KRANKCASE and his henchmen were able to thwart all of these insurgent plants except for one, Boom Bloom. Her mutation gave her the extraordinary ninja skills and a thorny whip, which she used to unleash a flurry of martial arts moves that forced Dr. KRANKCASE to flee his own factory and vow to never experiment on plants again. Now, as a sensei of the ninja class, she uses her incredible abilities to teach new Skylanders how to protect nature and unleash its fury. Next up, we had a bit of a technical error, but anyways, on to BUCKSHOT. When BUCKSHOT was young, he and his siblings were banished to the magic realm of mysterious mazes by an evil spellpunk that wanted to rid Skylands of all Skyfalls. BUCKSHOT spent years looking for a way out, but found no way to escape the enchanted labyrinth. Over time, however, the magic of the realm began to grow within him, strengthening his already formidable powers. While his siblings had lost all hopes of freedom, BUCKSHOT continued to test the boundaries of the maze, using his mystical bow and arrows to try to penetrate the walls around him. Eventually, BUCKSHOT's powers became so potent that he even learned how to teleport. With this new ability, he was finally able to open a portal back into Skylands and free his siblings. Now, as a sensei of the Bowslinger class, BUCKSHOT always keeps one eye on the target and keeps the other on lookout for the spellpunk that had banished him. Next up, Chain Reaction. No matter what he was doing, Chain Reaction always prided himself at being the best at it, despite his impressive skills. Though, the two chainsaw swords he regularly wielded tended to scare most people away. As a result, Chain Reaction was often lonely, but that all changed the day he witnessed a group of young dwarves getting picked on by an evil gang of ninja rats. After fighting off the rats, the dwarves looked at Chain Reaction as their hero and followed him everywhere they went. While Chain Reaction appreciated the company, he knew that he could not protect them forever, so he decided to teach them all he knew, so that they could one day protect themselves. Sometime later, Master Eon heard rumors about dwarves from a small village who had successfully defended themselves from a large army of ninja rats, thanks to the teachings of a great master. He knew at once that he needed to find Chain Reaction and make him a sensei. Next up, Chompy Mage. Believe it or not, the Chompy Mage actually hatched from inside a Chompy pod. At least that is how his Chompy hand puppet tells the story. Having been raised by Chompies, it is no surprise that the old magician is a little strange. He simply grew up embracing the Chompy way, believing that Skylands would be a better place if everyone was a Chompy, an illegal enchantment which he has actually tried to perform on several occasions. It was this kind of magic that led him to be locked up inside of Cloudcracker Prison. After breaking out and joining the other Doomlanders, Chompy Mage was once again captured by the Skylanders. Eon gave these villains a choice, either go back to jail or become Skylander Senseis, teaching a new generation of Imaginators their formidable battle skills, as well as how to stay clear of a life of crime. They accepted the deal, but first had to prove themselves by rearranging all the books in the Academy's library, a task that took almost 2 years, testing every ounce of will they had. This also gave Chompy Mage time to take up the bazooka, which he was naturally so good at that he now trains Imaginators of the Bazooka class as a Sensei Master. Next up, we have CHOPSCOTCH. The only thing that ever mattered to CHOPSCOTCH was mastering her weapon of choice, the giant axe, while rocking out to her favorite musical idol, Wolfgang. It never bothered her that she was short in stature, or that all the other ghouls in the underworld laughed at the way she spoke in rhymes as she made up her own lyrics to Wolfgang's guitar jams. So when Wolfgang joined the villainous Doom Raider, she was devastated. But instead of letting it destroy her, she chose to put her axe skills to good use, and fought Wolfgang and his Moon Goons when they attempted to curse her entire town during an evil concert. Her willingness to stand up to her longtime hero came as a surprise to everyone, and soon all of the villagers were speaking in rhymes in her honor. Soon after, she met Master Eon, who was so impressed at her fighting abilities and positive outlook that he recruited her as a sensei for the Smasher class. Now she teaches new Skylanders how to fight, and how to rhyme. Next up, we have Dr. KRANKCASE. No one is quite sure what exactly Dr. KRANKCASE is a doctor of, but his technical engineering achievements are legendary. The secret to his success lies in his modified concoctions of glowing green goo, which causes wooden objects to come to life and turn evil. His unique skill set makes him a valuable asset to the Doom Raiders, who have plenty of nefarious uses for evil wooden creatures. It is also commonly known that Dr. KRANKCASE served as an evil inspiration to Chaos once upon a time, who had figured out how to make his own wooden creatures the Willikin, come to life after reading about the Doctor's exploits in the Minion Monthly catalog. Chaos also respected Dr. K's interest in world domination, Doom, and his well-documented love of pickles. After being captured by the Trap Masters, Eon gave KRANKCASE a choice: either go back to the newly reformed Cloudcracker prison or becoming Skylander Sensei, teaching a new generation of Imaginators his formidable battle skills as well as how to stay clear of a life of crime. The Doctor accepted this deal, but first had to prove himself by helping to rearrange all the books in the Academy's library, a task that took almost 2 years, testing every ounce of will he had. And his knowledge of the alphabet. Now he uses that newfound knowledge to train Imaginators on the A, B's, and C's of shooting as a master of the quick shot class. Next up, we have Ember. Ember was raised inside of the Dragonfire Dojo, having come from a long line of fire sentinels that were skilled in the art of dual blades. It was the dream of her father that Ember would follow their tradition and take over the family training facility, and so she practiced every day. She was naturally gifted, and soon even the greatest dual blade masters were no match for Ember. When Chaos heard of this, he took over her village and banned martial arts entirely for fear of an uprising. But Ember fought back, unleashing an impressive barrage of samurai pyrotechnics that drove the invaders away. Even though her village was free, she knew that there was a greater evil out there that needed to be stopped, so she joined the Skylanders to train others in the art of the Sentinel battle class. One day, though, Ember plans to return to her homeland and reopen her family's school, but not until Skylands is safe once and for all. Next up, Flarewolf. When Flarewolf was young, he worked all summer to earn the coveted fireworks badge from the Wolf Scouts. In doing so, he earned the right to light the fireworks in the annual St. Wylsworth Day celebration, an honor of which Flarewolf was extremely proud. But on the day of the celebration, a band of evil ice ogres attacked his village and took over the entire community hostage. The only weapons at his disposal were the town's supply of fireworks that they were saving for the evening festival. One by one, Flarewolf lit them in the center of the ogre camp, launching a dazzling display of pyrotechnics that sent the ogres running. Not only had Flarewolf saved his village, he had also given its residents the most spectacular show they had seen in over 100 years. Even Master Eon was impressed and offered Flarewolf a position at the Academy as an official fireworks launcher, but after seeing him in action, he quickly realized that Flarewolf had much more to offer as a sensei. And finally, we have Golden Queen. A powerful sorceress made entirely of golden riches beyond your wildest imaginations. She'd trade her entire fortune for just a little more. But why trade when you can steal? So that's what she did. She stole and stole and stole. No matter how much she took, though it was never enough. Through evil sorcery, she learned how to turn people and objects into solid gold. Yet still, that just wasn't enough. The idea that there was any amount of treasure in Skylands that didn't belong to her was infuriating, so she set out on a quest to take every last cent of it. But she couldn't do it alone. It was then she formed the Doom Raiders, the most notorious group of villains ever assembled, declaring herself as their unquestioned leader. Together, the Doom Raiders terrorized Skylands until Master Eon and the Trap Masters put a stop to them, locking all of them up inside the Cloudcracker prison. Eon then gave these villains a choice: either remain imprisoned or become Skylander Senseis, teaching a new generation of Imaginators their formidable battle skills as well as how to stay clear of a life of crime. They accepted the deal, but first had to prove themselves by rearranging all the books in the Academy's library, a task which took almost 2 years and, much to the Queen's dismay, had nothing to do with gold. But this gave her an opportunity to rethink her insatiable desire for treasure and that there is more to life than stealing. She now trains the Sorcerer class and considers herself mostly reformed, and that is the first 15 backstories, biographies, whatever you want to call them, for all of these Skylanders Sensei. So I do hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, because very soon I will have the second part of this video where I will be talking about the other 16 backstories for the Imaginators, or for the Senseis. So like I said, I do hope you enjoyed. This has been Portal Master 9351. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!